What's going on, Nittany Nation? Welcome to the Penn State Rivals YouTube channel. I am Josh Taylor, a contributor here on the YouTube channel for Penn State Rivals. And guys, it was a ugly game on Saturday. So I'm here to talk about the Michigan and Penn State game where Michigan goes on to win 41-17 in what seemed like such a dominant, physical, just complete ran over of Penn State. And it's sad because you see them go off of the bye week, and I don't know why, but it seems like James Franklin's teams always just look stiff after the bye week, which this was like the perfect for scheduling. You have the bye week, then you have your first big game of the season at Michigan. It just did not add up from what I saw in the game on Saturday. So got a lot to talk about. This isn't going to be the longest, craziest video, but going to hit on some key things that I noticed. But first off, let's talk about this defense. And we're going to talk about quarterback play. We're going to talk about the offense and stuff. But I want to talk about this defense because I'm a defensive guy. I'm passionate about the defense. And I love what I've seen from Penn State this season. I mean, a top 5 overall defense in the country, led the country in pass breakups, forced a turnover on 28% of possessions of the other team. So just a dominant showing in the first few weeks by this Penn State defense. Not just getting stops, but also getting key takeaways, getting to the quarterbacks. But going into this game, I said J.J. McCarthy isn't going to be the guy that leads the team down the field and wins the game for Michigan. If Michigan wins this game, it's going to be because their defense stops Penn State, which they did, but also it would be because of the run game. Now, I did not think that a top 5 rushing defense would come into this game and allow Donovan Edwards on 16 carries to have 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, along of 67, by the way. And Blake Corum, who we know is a top 3 overall running back in all of college football, the best running back in the Big Ten, and I don't think it's close, had 28 carries for 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a long of 61. That is 55 carries total between those two and C.J. Stokes and J.J. McCarthy for a total of 418 rushing yards and an average of 7.6 yards per carry and 4 total touchdowns. That's completely unexcusable. You're not winning any game if you give up those kind of numbers. I don't care who you're playing, where you're playing, and when. You can't go into a game like this. And what really confuses me is I watched this Michigan team over and over and over this season so far, and I had a great idea of what this Michigan team wants to do, how they're going to do it, and how they play. But yet I watched this game and Coach Manny Diaz and James Franklin, it seems like they didn't watch any film. Michigan lines up 5 offensive linemen, the best 5 offensive linemen in the country, by the way. And it's not remarkably close. It's not. They're going to win the award again this year. I want to see the Joe Moore Award, best offensive line unit. They won it last year. They're going to win it again this year. No doubt. Not even close. But then they have 2 tight ends in line most of the time, sometimes a fullback, and then Blake Corum and like 1 or 2 wide receivers split out every single play, it seems like. And yet, Penn State just has their 4 guys on the front, 2 linebackers most times, sometimes 3. But it just doesn't add up. The gap integrity by the linebackers was horrendous. It was effortless for that offensive line, especially the guards, to get those inside holes just wide open for Edwards and for Blake Corum. It was effortless. I did not see the linebackers have that gap integrity of knowing where you're supposed to go. No one could get off of blocks. They were quick to get into a block, but that's not what you do as a D lineman and as a linebacker. You want to get underneath the pad levels, obviously, but you also want to get that angle to where you can fight hands, you can get off a block and get into that gap when the running back is coming towards you. Stop the run. I saw none of that. Absolutely none of it. And what really concerns me is the usage of Curtis Jacobs and Abdul Carter. There is no reason those 2 guys, your most athletic linebackers, I'll comfortably say, should not be on the field at the same time for 80 to at least 85% of the entire game. I get there. Curtis Jacobs isn't young. I get Abdul Carter is super young, but he's had such an impact already. You watch that Auburn game. with, them running their quarterbacks, with them running Tank Bigsby. He showed his physicality. He's like a heat-seeking missile in the run game. There is no reason for them to not load the box every single play man coverage on the outside, let Joey Porter Jr. jam Ronnie Bell at every single play, and have them just one-on-one on an island. And then you have your safety help, who should have been playing much closer than they were. So the defensive showing, I don't know if you're going to blame Manny Diaz or James Franklin, but still absolutely no reason Michigan should have just completely manhandled and just out-physicaled Penn State to the most dominant degree. J.J. McCarthy made some mistakes. I said it would happen. Like I said, he only had 145 yards, had that pick six. Big. That's what you needed. So that did what it was supposed to. The passing defense was great. No complaints at all about it. I said he wouldn't, have some crazy game. He wasn't going to be the one to beat Penn State. It was the duo of Edwards and Corum, and by God, they absolutely destroyed Penn State. There's no reason for it. And you take a closer look at how dominant it really was. Not even just the 563 total yards by Michigan compared to the 268 of Penn State. But you look at the time of possession, it was long, sustainable drives of Michigan just having their way. If it wasn't a home run play, it was just 10 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, whatever. Making their way all the way down the field, then punching it in. Just dominance. 41 minutes and 56 seconds time of possession by Michigan compared to Penn State's 18:04. 3 and outs. They were 4 for 12 on third downs was Penn State. 1 for 4 on fourth downs. Meanwhile, Michigan was 11 for 17 on third down and 1 for 1 on fourth downs. It was just the running game was non-existent, only 111 carries, and that's only because of Sean Clifford's 62-yard run. You take that away. Nicholas Singleton, 6 carries, 19 yards, and Katron Allen, 6 carries, 16 yards, and the 1 short touchdown. But outside of that, you just couldn't get the offense going. So I talked about the defense, how embarrassing it was, what went wrong, and why. I tweeted during the game, load the box, some attempt to stop the run. It was just like watching a hole in the boat, and you're out in the middle of the ocean, and you're doing nothing to fix it. You're just scooping the water out. No, plug the hole and stop the leaking. They couldn't do it. Had no answer for the run game. None at all. Didn't load the box. 5-2 defense. Put 5 on the line. Carter and Jacobs as linebackers on there too. Just try to match them up front. At least 5-2 defense. Something. Try it. Bring your safeties down. Force J.J. McCarthy to throw another interception, another pick six, whatever. Make him throw the ball. And they didn't. He threw the ball 24 times. But still. This was a game. Michigan did exactly what Penn State had to do. Stop the run, like I said. Made Sean Clifford try to throw it 7 for 19 before he got hurt. Drew Allard came in 5 for 10. I'm going to talk about that. It was just the offense couldn't get anything going. The play calling was very questionable, and especially in key moments. But I just was not expecting this stale of an offensive showing coming out of that bye week. I can't emphasize that enough. All week long, we saw in the press conferences and heard the players and Coach Franklin talk about, hey guys, like we're confident. We've been ready. Like, we got the heads up, early start, getting ready for this game. I feel like I was more prepared for this Michigan game than Penn State was. They just got completely just physically could not keep up with Michigan. And it's things we've seen in the past. That Illinois game last year, physicality was a problem for Penn State. And I don't think it's not a talent thing. I think it is scheme. I think it is play calling on offense. And I think it's just not being prepared. It's not putting the guys in the right position to succeed. So we've seen how effective this running game has been all season. It's been great. Obviously, the first game, Purdue, very first game for Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. They got things going after that game. But this game, like I said, combined those two, only 12 carries. They didn't have a real opportunity because of the 3 and outs, because of the stale drives. to get anything going. You don't have a chance to have a steady run game. You only ran it 22 total times, and Sean Clifford had 6 of them, compared to Michigan's 55 carries. I'm not saying that Penn State had to carry it 55 times to win, but it definitely would have helped to get that 22 into more of the 35 range, somewhere around there, to where you are having these long drives, keeping the ball out of Michigan's hands. And we saw the change at quarterback. So let's talk about it. He made that one big time throw Clifford did to Harrison Wallace, the 48-yarder, dropped it on a dime. That's what you want to see out of Clifford. But something I've said a couple times is this passing offense is you still want more. It is leaving you wanting more. There's still so much potential that is unlocked on this passing offense with Mitchell Tinsley, Parker Washington. Britton Strange has been a huge weapon this season. There's still so much more there. So Drew Aller comes in. I wasn't expecting him just, have some crazy comeback, anything like that. Went 5 for 10, 37 yards, whatever. You have to question yourself. Do you make a change at quarterback? And I'd say right now, no. Do I think you should? Like, talent-wise, yes. Michigan had the guts to, in the beginning of the season, I'm not saying that they might regret this. Who knows? Penn State might. Michigan might regret this. It's still early. They had their guy, Cade McNamara, who not only beat Ohio State, which hasn't been done in a long time, they also win the Big Ten, and then also go to the playoffs to play Georgia. But the floor for Cade was so high, but the ceiling was so low. They see what they have with J.J. McCarthy. He has the upside. He's the big-time recruit. His floor is, about what, maybe a little bit lower than Cade. Cade was that safe game-managing quarterback who was not going to do too much, but do just enough to win you some games behind Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum last year, with guys like David Ajabo and Aiden Hutchinson on defense. But then they take J.J. McCarthy at the beginning of the season and say, hey, this is the guy. He gives an extra spark to the offense. We know that this offense can be better with him, so let's roll with it. If it doesn't work, oh well, but we're going to do it. Harbaugh had the guts to do it. Like I said, might be the best decision he's made. It might turn out to bite him when he, goes against Ohio State, has 3 picks or something, makes some costly plays. Like I said, we saw it in this one. They just didn't force him to throw it enough. And by the way, when he did throw it, our DBs are playing 10, 15 yards behind on 3rd and short, and they're doing quick little curl routes, wide open, a little out route, whatever. Wide open, playing 10 yards back, just off coverage, bail coverage, no press, no soft press, or not enough of it. But still, Michigan made the change. They did it. Maybe beginning of season, Purdue, would things have been different? Would they have won if Drew Aller played the whole game? I don't know. Can't say. I'm not one to make assumptions. Ohio, yes. Auburn, I think he absolutely would if they dominated that game. Defense dominated that game. Central Michigan, same. Northwestern, who knows? It was ugly. I think he still would have beat Northwestern. This Michigan game, I don't know. It's so hard to tell. But then you have Minnesota coming up next week, the whiteout, 7:30 o'clock on ABC. That is not a game where you throw Drew Aller out there, because Minnesota has a top 10 defense as well. I know they looked, not the best against Illinois, but Illinois just completely shut out their offense. And then you have Ohio State after that. This isn't a stretch where you just throw Drew Aller out there, because you just have one loss to Michigan. The season's not over. You beat Minnesota with Sean Clifford. Cool. You go into the Ohio State game. Yes, you love the upside of Drew Aller, but you have to take the experience, the in-game experience, the reps. You can't just replicate or just create. With Sean Clifford, and he goes in there, plays Ohio State, 12 o'clock noon at Fox. Who knows how that game goes? But even if so, say you lose that one, you beat Indiana, you beat Maryland, you beat Rutgers, you beat Michigan State, you end the season with 2 losses. That is a great season. I don't care. Yes, I know you want to get over that hump and beat the Michigan, beat the Ohio State finally, but say it doesn't happen. You go to a big bowl game. Cool. Next year, you have all offseason to prepare for Drew Aller. You have a 2-loss season. Maybe you win your big bowl game, whatever. I know you want to win the Big Ten. You want to get to the playoffs. Maybe that's next year's goal. Maybe it's still obtainable this year. If you beat Ohio State, you have one loss and you beat probably number 2. They might be number 1 at the time. Who knows? Ohio State. You just don't know. Do they wish they would have started Drew Allard to start the season? I don't know. It's so hard to tell. This is Sean Clifford's last season. This is like his last dance going out here. I don't see James Franklin as the guy that would have just not played him in his last season. And I get it. It's a business. It's not, you can't have this emotional ties to a player. You play the best player. Is Drew the best player? Quite possibly, yes. But the experience, the in-game experience is something that I have a huge weight on when it comes to the NFL draft. When you're looking at draft prospects and watching tape and film, and it's all about context. Context. How much has Drew had, reps with the ones? How much experience has he really had in games where he can read a defense? He can, bounce back after a bad throw, maybe an interception, maybe a huge turnover, pick 6 like Sean Clifford did the Purdue game when he drove down the field and won that touchdown. Does Drew Allard do that? We don't know because we haven't seen it. But I don't think this is the stretch where you change your quarterback, because say you do, you lose to Minnesota, you lose to Ohio State. Now you have 3 losses. People say, well, what's the difference between 3, 4 losses and 2? It's a big bowl game. I get it. It's not the championship. It's a bowl game. But still, I don't know. If it's me, I'm at least letting Clifford play the Minnesota and Ohio State game unless things just get ugly. Like I said, Minnesota has a really good defense. So don't be surprised if he does struggle and if Drew Allard does go out there during the whiteout game. It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't see them as – and we still don't know like the health update on Sean Clifford. Drew Allard might start. Who knows? But as of right now, today, we have no idea what it looks like. But this one, I thought it would be much closer against Michigan. But Michigan just came out and not only just punched them in the nose with a solid jab, but it was right hook. It was a left hook. Just knockout blow after knockout blow. When Penn State would capitalize with a big play, the Sean Clifford run, the pick 6, they had no answer for Michigan just driving down the field with ease. I think I think they are a top 5 team. Not even just ranking-wise number 4 right now. I think they are a top 5 team in the country, and they showed it. Can they sustain this kind of success without a passing game of a C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, even, Georgia with Stetson Bennett looked much better. That's the kind of jump, like J.J. McCarthy's going to get better this season. I really think he will, and he's going to have to take that big leap for them to win those games. It might even be Tennessee. Who knows? But if Michigan played Georgia next week, I don't think Michigan wins that because the passing game is so limited. I think that's why they made the jump to J.J. McCarthy, because they know that the passing offense can be better. Is it there yet? No. But it could be. So Penn State, like I said, next week, the whiteout game against Minnesota. Big time one. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm definitely going to do a preview on that later in the week before, Saturday, of course. So stay tuned on to that. But subscribe to the channel, guys. Got a ton of great content on the way. Not only just recruiting stuff like we always update you on, but these in-season news and videos and updates on everything going on with the Penn State football team. So subscribe to the channel. Like if you enjoy what you see. Leave your comments. We love hearing what y'all think. I know there's a lot of frustration after that game. Let it out. It was ugly, but you got to keep moving. Next week, Minnesota, they're rowing the boat. Let's break that boat down, get another win. I'll see y'all for the preview of Penn State, Minnesota, the white out game in Beaver Stadium. See y'all later.